Hello, welcome back to Learn Astrology with Mary. My name is Mary English. We're doing an Astro meetup, and tonight we're doing solar returns. So I'm going to screen share, and then you'll see the little PowerPoint. I'm doing a little PowerPoint for about half an hour or so, and then we're going to do questions. Now, I've had a volunteer, so somebody has volunteered already for their chart for us to use, so that's cool. And the person who's volunteered is not here this evening, so she won't be embarrassing herself. She'll just watch it later, so that's very nice of her. So if you, just relax, get nice and ready, and I'm going to screen share. There we go. Oops. I think I've shared somebody else's screen. What's happened now? There we go. Right. Now let me know if you cannot see my screen. So somebody unplug yourself and let me know if you can't. So let's just close that, and you should be able to see. And we want to make that normal and a bit bigger. There we go. Oh my God, that's got larger. Never mind. Okay, so, oh, where did all that come from? Solar returns. So what are solar return charts? Solar is astrology for the sun, and return is when it's returning to the same place. So solar return in astro speak is for your birthday. So when the sun returns to exactly the same place it was in when you were born. However, the astrological calendar is different to the calendar we use today, and they don't exactly match up. So calendars don't match the sun. We blame men for this because it's fellas that invented it. So we're all girls here this evening, so it's all perfectly safe, but we're going to blame the blokes for this. So calendars don't match the sun. The Julian calendar was proposed by Julius Caesar, the Roman statesman, in 46 BC and replaced the Roman calendar. This was then replaced by the Gregorian calendar in 1582, ordered by Pope Gregory the 13th, I think that represents. And over the years, various different calendars were invented and used, and people had to abide by them, and they did or didn't do this, and they followed that and that and the other. And there was a whole period in history where they were in between two calendars, so in between the Julian calendar and the Gregorian calendar, there were a number of months and years where nothing matched up and everybody was confused. And I thought that was rather applicable to where we are today in the pandemic. Everybody is confused. So a regular year has 365 days, and every 4 years there's 366 days. So the solar year is the time between the spring equinox, which is the first day of Aries, the summer solstice, first day of Cancer, the autumn equinox, the first day of Libra, and the winter solstice, the first day of Capricorn, and back. And I've put a little asterisk there that the summer solstice, the first day of Cancer, this is the date that Stonehenge was created for. So if you've ever been to Stonehenge and seen the sun rise on the heel stone, it's the most amazing thing to watch. And you think, wow, these were, inverted commas, primitive people that managed to create this thing so that the sun exactly sits. If you could turn your microphone off, whoever's just arrived, that'd be lovely, thank you. Stonehenge, the sun rising onto the heel stone, is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And that's the first day of Cancer. So that's the solar year, okay? It has 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds. So actually, the astrological solar year is more accurate than the calendar year. Aren't we clever? So your birthday not. Keep in mind that your solar return might not actually coincide with your calendar birthday. So your birthday versus the solar return. In astrology, your official birthday is when the sun returns to exactly the same place it was when you were born, your solar return. And I'm going to show you a chart in a minute, so I'll just read this bit out. So in our chart example, Leah was born on the 14th of February 1997 at 5:15 p.m. in the afternoon, and her sun was 26 degrees, 3 minutes and 38 seconds. So if I just call up her chart here, so this is Leah. Thank you very much, Leah, for volunteering your chart. And we just zoom in. So there's her chart. I've created it for where and the date and all the time and everything that she was born. And there's her sun sign there, 26 degrees, 3 minutes and 38 seconds. However, when you look into the chart itself, if we zoom in, It's just the way that Astro.com is. They can't do everything that exact. It says 26 degrees and 4 minutes. Okay, so if you're ever wondering why the numbering on the inside of your chart doesn't correspond to this bit down here, it's just the way that computers have been set at Astro.com. But I don't think we're going to get into too much of a fuss about less than 30 seconds worth of difference between the degree of her sun. Anyway, this is her birth chart. She's got a Leo ascendant. This is her natal chart, Leo ascendant. She's got Sun and Aquarius in the 6th house. She's got a stellium in her 6th house, very busy chart. And she's got Moon 0 degrees Gemini in her 10th. So this year, her solar return, so she's born on the 14th of February, okay? Her solar return was on the 15th of February 2020 at 7:18 a.m. when the sun again reached Aquarius 26 degrees and 4 minutes. So this is her solar return chart. Let me zoom in. There we go. And it's a completely different thing altogether. So obviously the sun is the same degree, 26 degrees, 338, but they've made it 26 degrees and 4 on the chart there. But everything else is different. Now, if you remember the chart I showed you a minute ago, she had a Leo ascendant. This is her solar return chart, and this is a totally different thing altogether. So obviously she hasn't been born again this year, but what the solar return chart represents is how this coming year is going to be. So I just wanted to demonstrate the difference between the natal and the solar, and the reason that it looks different is that we're just waiting for the sun to get to exactly the same position. And forget calendars. Calendars do not match up. And this is why I'm always getting into arguments with people when they're reading their, I don't get into arguments, but people read it wrong. They'll be reading something in a magazine and they'll say Gemini is from the blah, blah, blah of this month, blah, blah, blah of that. Therefore, I must be born in the cusp. And how many times I've got to tell people there's no such thing as a cusp, because the days of the week and the calendar and the months and stuff might not correspond to the exact measurements that we use in astrology. So we can raise the banner here by saying that we're much more accurate by using astrology. Okay, Mary, enough of the history. What does this all mean? The power of a solar return chart mustn't be underestimated. Just using the chart on its own will tell you a lot about what's going to happen for you in the upcoming year, from one birthday to the next. And there's multiple ways of doing it, but I'm going to show you two today. So there are two ways that I use to read these charts, which I'm now going to discuss. So the solar return chart, which hopefully you've managed to go to astro.com and you've made yours up. So just using the solar return chart on its own will tell you what will happen and where to focus your energies by looking at which houses the planets are in and what signs will guide you, just like a normal birth chart. But all it will be telling you is what's going to happen in that year. So from in Leah's chart, which I'm going to show you, so it's from this February this year to February next year. So basically the info that you get in it will stop when you get to your next birthday. So let's go through Leah's solar return chart. So let me call it up again. There we go, and I'll just move that to the side and zoom in a bit. There we go. So this is now how you will have to be reading yours. So we're using hers as an example, and don't worry, we'll chat about yours afterwards. We've got Aquarius ascendant. So this is in this year, this solar return year, she's going to be needing freedom, friendship, and group contact. That's all about what Aquarius is. She was born when the sun was in Aquarius, but now in the solar return chart, the sun is in the 1st house. And the keyword that I use for that is like the Nike logo, just do it. Sun in the 1st is get out there and do it. I know loads of people that got sun in the 1st house. They don't want to mess about. They just want to do it. Let's get in there and do it. So this year, it's necessary for her to just do whatever. Now, the moon is in Scorpio in the 9th up there. Deeply focus on spirituality, long distance travel, not. I know she wants to do some traveling, but it's not really a fantastic thing to do during a pandemic. And it can also cover further education, but because it's in Scorpio, this is the deeply thing here, so that's why I've used those words, deeply focus. Now in her natal chart, if you remember, she's got moon in Gemini, so there's a change there. Okay, all the planets on the eastern side of the chart. So this is the east, the sun, so not the sun rises, but it rises in the east and sets in the west. But when a chart starts, it starts the ascendant represents the sign that's rising on the horizon on the day that you were born. In her case, it's Aquarius, the sun's there as well. But if everything's on the east of the chart, which is in her solar return, then she needs to be in control, and free will is really important. Yeah, so the ascendant is there and the MC. So the blurb for that is that needing to be in control and free will. That's if you've got all your planets natally for that, and also for a solar return. Now, there's some other things going on. She's got Mercury in Pisces conjunct Neptune. Be aware of the possibility of being deceived or deceiving the self or telling lies. Instead, use sixth sense and dream power, maybe by keeping a dream journal. When those two planets come together, it's great if you're a magician or a hypnotherapist, which is what I am, but it's not so good if you are inclined to tell fibs. So you could use that conjunction if you had that in your chart, in your solar return, which most people this year will have. Mercury conjuncting Neptune at some point. If your birthday's around about February or March, you might have another planet that's conjuncting Neptune. The sun could be juncting in your solar return chart, possibly Venus, and maybe even Mars. None of the other planets have made it through the sign of Pisces. But anyway, because it's conjuncting Neptune, you need to watch out that Neptune's all about illusion, delusion, spirituality, but the downside to it is that you could be deceiving yourself or others. You need to have the reality check. Now, there are two planets in the 12th house here, Saturn and Pluto, in the sign of Capricorn. So this is about transformation and responsibility for the hidden parts of the self. The 12th house is what we don't show others. It's what we hide. I keep saying I'm going to do a webinar on the 12th house, and maybe I will. But anyway, those two planets hidden. So this is necessary to not reveal those things, but to do them quietly in the bath, you know, not sort of broadcasting them. There are two planets in the 11th house of friendships. We've got Jupiter and we've got Mars. So Jupiter in Capricorn is overseas. The 11th house, by the way, is friendships. So it could be overseas foreign friends. Okay, this is the Jupiters. That represents also foreign things. Jupiter represents things from other countries, and the 11th house is friendship, so that's the interpretation of that. And then Mars in Saggy, making friends maybe with foreign chaps. I've used the word blokes, so excuse me, that's a London thing. Venus in Aries conjunct Chiron in the 2nd house, fast love that could cost money. Okay, so if I'm advising a female that has that in their solar return chart, be careful that you don't just suddenly fall in love with somebody. In the 2nd house, this is fall in love with somebody and lend them 300 quid. You're unlikely to see it again, because in this solar return chart, Chiron is right next door to Venus, and Chiron is the wounded healer. So we need to watch out for that. Uranus in the 3rd house in the sign of Taurus. Everyone that I'm talking to today, you will have your solar return chart, you'll have Uranus in the sign of Taurus, but it'll be in a different house. Okay, so that you have to work out the interpretation for that. So Uranus in the 3rd in Taurus, practical communication using the internet, because Uranus rules the internet. North Node in Cancer in the 5th, so this is the North Node, which is the spiritual purpose. Maybe finding love and romance locally, because that's Cancer, maybe via the family, because Cancer represents a family, and the 5th house is romance. So the other way to interpret a solar return is to do the natal plus solar. So this is on the video that I sent you, there were two charts that you should make. So now if you look at your natal plus solar, so you've got the natal on the inside and the solar return planets, oops, there should be a space there, on the outside in the blue circles. So let me just show you. So this is Leia here. We've got her solar return in the center. Let me zoom in, and we've got the solar return on the outside and the natal in the center. I mean, she has got a very clustered chart. And then you can do, it's a little bit, then you're going to be more talking about like a transit chart. Personally, I probably wouldn't. And when I do a solar return, I only normally just look at the solar return. I'm just demonstrating that there is another way of doing it, because you've done synastry, you've done transits, and you can think of the solar return as being a representative of a transit that isn't going to stay, because obviously every planet is going to move, but Uranus is such a slow moving planet, transiting through the ninth house. There might be some long distance travel, for instance, because the ninth is travel. But I tend to use the solar return just on its own, but it is a useful exercise to stick it on the outside here and see again, where is the emphasis? Where are the planets clustering up? You know, where are you going to need extra support or consideration? We're always thinking of considerations when we're making charts. They're not absolutes. But as you can see, everything's in different places. So what was her ascendant here is now her ascendant there. What was her MC here is now her MC there. So everything's in totally different places. So that in itself can cause a bit of confusion if your solar return chart is the direct opposite of your natal chart. Mine is this year, and I've got my sun sign is in the my sun is in the 7th house in my solar return chart, just the same as in Leah's. My sun has ended up being in the 1st house. And also, with it being a pandemic at the minute and lots of people having to work from home, I would also, in the solar return chart, let me just go back to Leah's, think about and look to see if anything's turned up in your 4th. Do you need to be working from home? I can't remember what planet I had in mind, but I have got something in my 4th house, because natally I've got Moon in the 10th, and there was something that turned up in my solar return in the 4th, and I work from home anyway, and I'm having to. But think about the fact that we've got a pandemic and a lot of people are working from home. Have you got anything going on in your 4th? We can go back to being what signs are in. Hi, Rita. You can talk about the you can be thinking about the ruling planet, the 4th house, if there isn't anything in it. So we go back to what we did in the previous webinar about rulerships, okay? But just taking the solar return chart on its own is, where do I need to focus my energies in this solar year? And in her case, sun's in the 1st. It's all about her, not anyone else. She doesn't need to take anybody else's feelings or thoughts or whatever into consideration. And with the moon being in a really, really deep sign in Scorpio in the 9th, there needs to be some long distance travel, further education, philosophy, that type of thing. So natals on the outside, solar returns, natals on the inside, solar returns on the outside in the blue circle. In her case, everything's reversed. The ascendant's now the DC, the MC's the IC. Everything's topsy-turvy, and it'll feel a bit weird and different. I don't know about you, but my year's definitely weird and different. Moon's changed sign from Gemini natal to Scorpio solar return. Could be emotionally obsessed, maybe feeling more deeply than normal. And look at the conjunctions. The major one in hers is that she has solar return Venus Chiron conjunct natal Saturn in the 8th, and the 8th is sex, birth, reincarnation, love, hurt, responsibilities, because the planet that it's lobbing into it. So if we go back to her chart there, so there's her natal Saturn's in the 8th, and the solar return Venus has gone slap bang onto that, along with the Chiron, which we talked about earlier. Okay, so tips: don't just read the solar return on its own, compare it. Always compare to the natal chart. Look for conjunctions like you did in the synastry chart, and don't confuse things by adding in transits. Now, I do know people, and astro.com will probably let you do that. You can have natal on the inside, solar return there, or natal and transits. Goodness me, I'd have a headache doing that. But do keep in mind transiting planets. So some planets are going to move quicker than others. So everything from the sun up to Mars is going to move quicker than Jupiter and Saturn, which are just changing signs, interestingly. They're going into Aquarius. So if we've got any Aquarians here this evening, there's a whole new world opening up for you. And keep in mind the moon changing signs. You might find you experience emotions you have never felt before. So somebody natally with moon in Gemini, in Leah's case, to now have a whole year of moon in Scorpio, that she's going to be feeling stuff she's never felt before. So that's going to be really weird. And I'm sure in all the charts you've made, I'd be really surprised if the moon's in exactly the same sign. Having said that, somebody I read for today, and they had their solar return and the moon was in exactly the same same sign. And I was, oh, how did you manage to do that in the solar return chart? So thank you. Let me just move that one down. It's all decided to freeze. So on there, I've got links for my website, link to email me. There's, if you want to subscribe to my newsletter, it comes out every month and you'll get the free stars every month. You can unsubscribe anytime you like because I use MailChimp, and you can also subscribe if you want to my YouTube channel. So let's go back and come out of screen save. Where did I do that? Stop sharing. There we go. How to do a solar return chart. So you do the chart on its own. You can do the chart with the natal with it as well. And I asked you to use the option, which is to use the houses as well, because otherwise it's a real complex thing to look at. So you can see, what was your first house is now your seventh house, and how does that feel? Okay, so let's go for some questions. So if anybody wants to turn on their microphone and their camera and yell at me, we will answer some questions. So when you're ready.
Hello?
Can you manipulate that if you want your solar return chart to look like something else? Can you spend your birthday in a different place and see what it's going to be like?
No, that question is, thank you very much for that question, because it's a very valid question, Christy. Lots of people think, oh, I don't like my solar return in the city where I live. I'm going to go to San Francisco for the weekend. Nah, it is actually where you're registered to live. So say you, I don't know, it's where you actually spend and sleep the majority of the time. Now, it is slightly different for people that have jobs where they travel an awful lot, but even so, most people have an address where the letters get sent to them, and I would use that. Now, that's different from a post restante address. So sometimes people can't get post to the houses that they live at, so their letters get sent to a business address. That's not it. It's where you sleep at night. That would be the place that you should use the location. Now, on the little video that I sent, as I pointed out, Leah was born in Uxbridge, I think it was, and now she's living in Swindon. So you do have to change the location. There's no other reason on astro.com why you'd need to change your location except for a solar return, because in my case, I was born in London and I now live in Bath, so I have to make sure that it's Bath when I'm doing my solar return. Does that help?
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. There was another question just coming through as well. Who else was asking?
Oh, it was me, Mary. My chart is quite scary. It's just covered in loads of red lines.
Right, forget about the red lines. What ascendant is it?
It's I can't even see where it is. A Taurus.
Okay, gonna have to slow down this year. What house is your sun located in?
That's gone into the 6th house
Health.
of Libra, yeah. And then I've got a stellium in the 9th house.
Long distance travel, further education. So do a bit of learning. But you're teaching anyway. Am I talking to Becky?
Yeah, I'm teaching anyway. I'm always learning.
Yeah.
My moon has gone into Cancer though, but that's in the 3rd house.
Okay, so moon's happy. Yeah, and third house is communication, but the moon is happy in the sign of Cancer. It'll operate really well. So actually, probably this year will change, because you've got natally moon in Pisces, haven't you? If I remember that right.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so you'll be less emotional. Well, maybe you'll be even more emotional, because moon in Cancer is a very emotional sign.
I don't know if it's possible.
But with it being the third, it could be that this solar year you are more capable of talking about how you feel.
That's interesting, yeah. Because my birthday was in October, so I'm already in this now. And that is probably true, actually.
Yes, because you've only just had your birthday. I had
Yeah.
March, and Leia had hers in February, so it's ages since she had her solar return. But it applies for the whole year, so until October, whatever it is next year. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm.
Okay, I'll ignore the red lines.
Don't worry about all the aspects. You just give yourself a headache. I
Yeah,
really wouldn't bother with them.
there's
You can go
so
into so
many.
much. Yeah, you can go into so much detail. And you can take them into account if you want to. But like any chart, I'd be looking at ascendant, sign of the sun, what house is it in, moon sign, what sign is it in, what house is it in, and go from there. You can do the other stuff as well. It depends how many hours you've got in the day to do it.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely.
Interestingly, so is there any conjunction Neptune? Probably won't be in October.
Oh
Then.
yeah, loads. There's 4.
In the solar
There's
return.
They're all blue though. Oh no, there's a red one. It's opposite my Venus in the 5th house.
In the solar return.
Yeah.
So Neptune's in which house in the solar return?
11th.
Friendship, yeah.
And it's opposite Venus in the 5th.
Friends versus creativity or romance.
Oh.
So Venus is the love planet. So that you're going to be doing something creative that you love? Question mark.
Yeah. Hope so.
Well,
And
fingers
then
crossed. Yeah.
yeah. And then the other 3 I've got blue lines from it because I think it's
See the sextile or a trine with a blue line.
yeah, it's sextile to that stellium in the 9th house. So there's Pluto and Jupiter.
Okay. And then you
Those
can,
2.
like we did for the last webinar, you can look at chart rulers. So in the solar return chart, the ascendant is Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, and Venus is in the 5th. So there's a
Okay.
section there. So that's cool, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can compare that to your natal chart, which is what's your ascendant in your natal?
Oh, Libra. Everything Libra.
Okay, so
All the
Libra,
Libras.
right? So Libra is ruled by Venus
Venus as
anyway.
well, yeah.
Yeah. So you can do that as well. So you can really play around with it, and
Okay.
because the nice thing about a solar return is where do I need to put the most amount of energy for this year, my year. So not your year, not the year 2020. It's your own personal year. This was the point I was trying to make in the PowerPoint, that we unfortunately are so, I don't know what word, it's brainwashed now about calendars. You know, this date, this year, this time. It just doesn't happen in astrology. It's just the orbiting of the flipping planets, or us orbiting round them, whichever way you want to look at it. But those are really exact. And yeah, I do celebrate my solar return as opposed to my birthday. I think my solar return's important because I've got a sun rule chart, I've got a Leo ascendant, but that's just me. But yeah, has the moon changed sign? Yes, the moon's changed to Cancer, isn't it? And in the 3rd
Yeah.
in your solar return. Yes, so important to talk about family, babies, how I feel, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Which is all in the 3rd. Yeah, so talk about it, don't bottle it up. It'd be different if it's in the 12th, it's not in the 3rd. Yeah.
Okie dokie. Yeah, and it's on
Yeah,
the 10th. It's my solar return was the day before my birthday.
There we go. Yeah, the date
Yeah.
will be different.
Just out of interest, but yeah.
Yeah, it is because it's waiting until it gets to the exact degree. So we're here on the Earth, the sun's up there, and the sun is moving, 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 moving. You want it to be in exactly the same position mathematically to where it was when you were born, which might not coincide with the dates at all. It's only ever going to be out by a day or so. It's not going to be a week. I hope not. I don't think the calendar's that mad.
No, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, fab. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
You're welcome, darling. You're welcome. Any questions? Anybody turn your microphone on. And
Can I just confirm?
who's this talking?
Amanda,
Amanda, darling. Yes, hello.
is the 11th house ruling friendships? Or have I got that wrong?
11th house is friendships and groups. So things like altruism, say with other people for the benefit of humanity. So on a small scale, that's having friends round for dinner. On a larger scale, is Greenpeace type of thing. It's a bit like the flavour of Aquarius, the 11th house. So if you think of the sign that is the 11th sign of the zodiac, when you're thinking about houses, that gives you a bit of a hint to what that house is. But yeah, 11th house. What have you got in your 11th? Is that in your solar return? You've got stuff.
Yeah, I've got 4 planets on the solar return.
Ooh.
I've got Pluto, I've got the moon, and Jupiter and Saturn.
All in Capricorn.
It looks like, yeah, I think, well, mainly, but it looks like Saturn is in Aquarius because it's kind of half of each. That makes sense.
Yeah, look down to bottom left where it'll have written out for you, because it'll say sun, this, moon, that, and whatever. So the bottom left-hand side of the chart will
Okay,
have
so
it.
I'm not sure if I've done it right. Hold on a second. Can I show you on the camera?
Certainly can, yeah. Stick it up. Or
So,
you can screen share. I think we can all screen share on this Skype.
hold on a second. Tell me if I've done this right or not. Is that the solar return bit?
11th. Oh, okay. So yes, that's the solar return 11th. Yeah, you could have made a separate chart as well, like the one I showed you, but that's the 11th house, yes. And then it should, so if you look, you've got on the left, so bottom left, it says sun this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then the next column, so you've got sun in the sign of Scorpio. The next column, it's the solar planets. Yes?
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Yes, yeah. Oh, now I can see it. Okay.
Yeah. So it's got it all there. And it should say,
Sorry.
it probably says moon in Capricorn, does it? Is the moon in Cappy or?
The moon is, sorry, 1 second. Yeah, it is Capricorn.
Absolutely. Okay, so you've got a cluster of planets in your solar return chart in the 11th house. So friendships and connecting with other people. And this year, so from this birthday to next birthday, it's going to be really important for you because that's where the moon's located. That's going to make you feel better. But what house did the sun end up in?
The sun is in 9th house.
Okay, 9th house is all about?
I can't remember. No. Hold on, I've got it written down. Right. Is long distance travel.
Yeah, long distance travel and further education. So like going to university, studying things, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Rather than the third house is learning as well, but that's sort of basic learning. But the 9th house is what we call higher learning. So if you think about the third house is like kindergarten and the 9th house is university, that type of thing. Or the third house could be learning that's reasonably easy and the 9th house is something that's more complex. So there is a difference between third and 9th. Yeah.
So I've got Mercury there as well. So yeah.
In the 9th, in the solar return.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's what you need to be talking about and reading about and thinking about. 9th house
Yeah.
stuff. And it also covers spirituality, the 9th house.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That makes
You're
sense.
welcome. Does that make sense? Good, good, good.
Yes.
Excellent.
Oh, it's so accurate. Thank you.
Oh, I love solar return charts. You just look at a solar return on its own, you just think, wow, yeah, that really, really applies to because it's not who you are, it's what's happening. It's a different way of doing a transit because it's not a transit chart. It's just what will this year be like for me? What do I need to focus on? So don't use it for long-term planning, just do it for 1 year planning, yeah?
I have a bunch of stuff in the 3rd house.
In the solar return chart, yeah?
Yeah.
Third's all about communication. What sign's it in?
Looks like Jupiter, Pluto, the moon, and Saturn.
Okay, that'll all be in Capricorn then, because that's...
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so 3rd house is about communication, and it's in a very serious sign of Capricorn. So needing to be careful. And the moon's there as well, yes?
Yes.
Right, okay. So like Becky had moon in her 3rd house as well in the sign of Cancer, so she needs to talk about how she feels. The 3rd house is how we need to communicate with others, but the moon in Capricorn there, you might need to hold your feelings back a bit, not express them too quickly, hold them back. So moon in Capricorn is about being reserved. If you think of the Queen, lovely day, that's that sort of image that you're giving yourself, is that you do have feelings, you're a normal human being, but you're not going to be crying and go, you're going to be sort of reserved about it. So there's other planets as well making a big cluster all in the 3rd house. That's going to be the emotions. What house did the sun fall in?
It fell in the 11th.
Friends. Okay, so friends again is going to be really important for you. So just like who was I just talking to then? That was is it Amanda? Is that right? Abby, beg your pardon, Abby. The 11th house is about friends. So the sun being there this year, so this solar year for you, friendship's going to be really important. Has that happened already? Because you've already had your birthday, haven't you?
No, it hasn't. It kind of surprises me actually that it would fall in that house because I kind of realized that a lot of people that I thought were my friends really weren't my friends. So right now, I don't really have a whole lot of friends.
Yeah,
I'm not really doing much.
Yeah, doesn't mean to say that you have millions of friends, but it's going to be the emphasis on sorting out what your friends are about. Where the sun is where we need to shine. So if it's not going to be friends, because the 11th house governs friends, but it also governs groups and organisations. So it could be the solar return sun in the 11th that you join an organisation, or you do some charity work, or you join Greenpeace, or you pick up some rubbish or whatever, any of those sort of Aquarius type of things, that would be the important thing. And also to dust your friendships off. You know, maybe you haven't seen somebody for 20, 30 years or something, you reconnect with them, but definitely deciding what your friendships are. So who's in your camp and who isn't, you know, who's on your side. That would be a really important thing for Sun in the 11th, for sure. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anybody else got any questions about their
Yes,
solar
please.
return? Yeah.
It's
Who's
Maria.
who's
Hi.
talking?
Maria.
Hello, Maria, darling.
Hi.
How are you?
Okay, let's see if I can get this right. Okay, the ascendant on mine is showing in Cancer.
Oh, it's all about family then.
It's a what family?
It's all about the family.
Oh,
for
is
this year.
it?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. Then I have the moon and the sun in friendship and groups, number 11.
Yes. In what sign?
Gemini.
Chat.
Okay.
Yeah. The Gemini's sign. I've got moon in Gemini. Moon in Gemini's chatty. So you will need to be communicating and doing lots of different things. Gemini can get bored as a sign, so it's different. Lots of different things. Just a little bit here, and a little bit there. If you just imagine sprinkling fairy dust, that's a sort of image of Gemini. It's a bit like Tinkerbell type
Don't
thing.
laugh, Amanda.
Yeah, yeah. So it's family, but the sun and the moon. So the moon is how you feel. Yes, you'll need to be with your friends, and even if you can't physically be with friends, then you can communicate on the internet like we are at the moment. That type of thing. Yeah.
Okay, and then within the Taurus, I've got 3 planets there. Oh, it's Mercury, Venus, and True Mode. In
True
number
Node,
10.
yeah.
Number
Number
10.
10. Okay, that's all about careers. So do you work from home or do you have to go?
I sort of work from home really at the moment.
Okay. So
I'm
which?
actually a carer for my little girl.
Oh, bless.
Yeah. So
And so which 3 planets did you say were in your 10th house in your solar return?
yeah, Mercury, Venus, True Mode.
The True Node. Okay. So that's just
Node. Yeah.
True Node. Yes. So it looks like a set ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So the True Node is our spiritual purpose. The 10th house is to do with career. So it's about talking about, and this is all in Taurus. Yes.
Yeah, it is.
All in the sign of Taurus. Okay. So in this solar year, it's important for you to, as part of your spiritual purpose, because that's the True Node, use love and communication in the work that you do. Now, you don't have to go out of the house to do that, obviously. You're doing that at home with your daughter, I would have thought. But you need to be able to communicate that in some way. So either to her or to other people. But it's all about communication because that's where the Mercury is, yeah?
Okay.
But with Cancer Ascendant this year, it's all about the family. How many kiddies do you have?
I've got 5.
Get you, you've been busy.
I have, yeah.
I come from a family of 5 and all that's like.
Yeah.
Not that I gave birth to 5, I've only had 1, but I come from a family of 5. Okay,
And then I've got in Aries, I've got Saturn and Venus, and that's the MC in number
Saturn,
9.
yeah, Saturn didn't go into the sign of Aries this year, so I don't know how you've got that in a solar return chart.
Right. Oh,
Saturn's in the sign of Capricorn at the moment.
Oh.
What sign of the zodiac are you?
I'm Gemini. Oh no, sorry. I've only got hold on, sorry. Venus in the 9th house. Sorry, Venus.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's the one that looks like the female sign. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you've got Venus in the 9th house in the sign of Aries, yes?
Yeah.
But you also had Venus in the 10th house, you said?
Yes, that's right.
You've got 2 lots of Venus. No. There's only one Venus planet.
Yeah. So in Venus, I've got the Saturn. Was it Saturn I was saying? No, is the Venus sign. In Aries.
Yes.
Venus in Aries in number 9.
Okay. Thank you. And what have you got in 10? Which planets was in 10? Go back to 10.
Right. 10 I've got Mercury, Venus, True Node.
Yeah. You've mentioned Venus
to me. Hold on. Oh no, it's the wrong sign. Hold on, oh dear. Mercury. Oh, sorry, yeah. Mercury. Mars. Sorry, Mercury and Mars in 10. not
Got it, and the
Venus.
true node. Okay, so it's
And
still
true.
about your purpose, but Mars is about action, aggression, and energy. So you need to be firm about how you communicate. So, so you need to be firm about how you communicate as far as what your work goes. So you might need to communicate to other people what your work consists of.
Right.
And then Venus being in the sign of Aries in the 9th, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 9th house is long to travel further, education, philosophy, and you've got Venus there, which is about love, and you've got it in the sign of Aries. So you need to be using your love energy on something that's a bit more international, or because Venus is also about how do we, what beauty do we surround ourselves with? So connecting with people from other cultures or learning, higher learning, that type of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Super. And then, so the ascendant sign is Cancer. So the ruler to that chart is the moon. The moon's located in the 10th, yes?
Number 11.
Sorry, in the 11th. So the moon's located in the 11th in the sign of?
Gemini.
Right. This solar
The sun
year.
and the moon, actually.
The sun and the moon, yeah.
Oh, hold on. Yeah. The sun and the moon are in number 11.
Got ya. So that's the ruling planet. The moon is the ruling planet to the chart because it's Cancer. So it's really important that you get your friends to help you with whatever it is that you do. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Get your neighbours on board, or the man who lives over the road, or you get somebody to cut your grass, or that type of. And family as well. Family is going to be really important. Just for this year. So it's not forever. It's just for this 1 year until your next birthday.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that seems to make sense, actually.
Yeah, it does. It just takes a little bit of tweaking it so that you can, because we need to. Astrology is a tool. It helps us do certain things and look at things in certain ways, but it's pointless just we need to make it fit our exact circumstances.
Yeah.
So you living in your flat in Hertfordshire or your house in Hertfordshire is going to be different from the Queen in Buckingham Palace, but you might have similar solar returns. Do you know what I mean? But she's got loads of servants and they can make her dinner for her, right?
Yeah.
So we need to take personal circumstances into account as well. Yeah. What would be applicable to you? What would help you? Yeah.
Okay.
It's all about the family, my love.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Makes sense. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. No problem. Anybody else want to chat through
What is the 7th house?
Relationships.
So if I have Mars in the 7th house, but it's actually in Aries.
Yeah, Mars is happy in Aries. Yeah, and the 7th is get out there and find yourself a bloke.
Really?
Mm.
Wow. I feel like that Neptune and Pisces is keeping me from doing that.
Where's it gone, the Neptune and Pisces in the solar return? What house is it in?
It's in Pisces.
And in which house?
Oh, the 5th house.
Romance. Okay, so you could do a bit of romance, but not to get too taken away with it. Wherever we've got Neptune, we have to remember that there's a stop. We can't just go into izzy wizzy busy land. We need to stay in reality, but maybe do something creative. And if you are dating with someone, do something romantic that is, imaginative, and yeah, that type of thing. But Mars is, you would need to be active about relationships in this solar year, rather than passive, putting up with whatever. You're going to have to stay firm because Mars is happy in Aries.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else want to chat through their chart?
Hi, Mary. Normally, it's Abby, by the way.
Hi.
Normally, my 4th house is empty.
Yes.
But this year, I've had 5 planets in it. It's been Jupiter, Mercury, the Sun, Saturn and Pluto, and Saturn and Pluto were both 22 degrees in Capricorn.
Okay. Yeah.
And my ascendant was also in Virgo.
And then solar return?
So that's my solar return this year.
Is in the sign of Virgo, the ascendant.
The
Yes.
ascendant is, yeah. My ascendant is usually in Sagittarius.
Oh, okay. It's totally different then.
Yeah.
Right. This is a really, really difficult year for you. You've got a whole host of planets in the fourth. Can you work from home?
No, I'm a waitress, so I'm
Impossible. Yeah.
yeah, obviously can't be just serving my
Look out the window. Yeah.
You will have a drink. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's tricky. If you've normally got a Sagittarius ascendant, what sun sign are you?
Capricorn.
Okay, right. So if you've normally got a Sagittarius ascendant, it's really upbeat, optimistic ascendant to have, and under stress, you'll go for that. But if your solar return, you've got it in Virgo, you're really going to have to pay attention to the detail of things. Virgo ascendant is urging you to dot the I's and cross the T's, which you might really not like to do.
Yeah, that's not me, really.
There won't be any planets in Virgo. I don't think there's anything in Virgo unless the moon's knocking about there. Where's the moon in that chart?
The moon is in Gemini.
Okay, and then natally, normally it's in?
Libra.
Oh, okay. Right, and the moon's gone into which house?
The 9th.
Right, okay. So all the cluster planets in the fourth. So the fourth is about the home and roots. So you're going to need to stay in contact with all of the family and get some help from them and keep in contact with them and Skype them or whatever it is you need to do. We'll talk about the 10th in a minute. With the Virgo ascendant, you're going to have to pay a lot of attention to the detail of things, yeah. The moon being in the 9th, so that's how you can relax and feel emotionally better. Don't forget that the 9th house is long distance travel, further adjacent philosophy. And if you were to be studying astrology in some way, that definitely encompasses that, because astrology is a foreign flipping language, if you ask me. And I can't remember what house is governed by astrology. I think it's the 11th. But as far as education goes, I would consider learning astrology a 9th house thing rather than a 3rd house thing. And then being in the sign of Gemini this year, you do need to talk more, which is tricky. I mean, I was born with that, so I don't find it a problem. But you might need to be chatting a bit more. So maybe you'd feel better if you, I don't know, started a little astrology group with your mum and a few other people and just chatted about charts and compared, that type of thing, yeah? Because how long have you got into astrology now?
Since March, actually. Well, since lockdown began originally in the UK, because I got stuck there for a while. And then I got addicted to your podcasts. Sort of went from there. Yeah.
Thank you. I feel very flattered to hear. Yeah, but it is a fantastic subject to learn in lockdown for sure, because you can't leave the house, but you want to know what else is happening. You know, what can happen for me, and learning about yourself via astrology is terribly enlightening. And with you being a Capricorn, you've been under an awful lot of stress. Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, for goodness sakes, most of your life, I expect. What sign was Pluto in when you were born?
Scorpio.
Oh, okay, so it's only shifted a few signs, Scorpio, Sagittarius, now into Capricorn, yeah. So, and what's your normal ascendant? Sagittarius, right?
Sagittarius, yeah.
Right.
So Abby's gonna see what it's like to be a Virgo for a year. Is that it?
Yeah.
She's gonna see what it's like. Okay, now you're gonna feel sorry for all the Virgos after this year. It's terrible.
It's all definitely all about the detail. But you will have had a lot of transits, Abby, going over your ascendant. Pluto would have gone over your ascendant and stuff. So you've had quite a tricky life. And then that'll lighten up when Pluto changes sign in 2 or 3 years' time. You'll go into Aquarius. But everything being in the fourth, you do need to stay close to home, close to family in some way or other, because that's where the sun is, and then the moon in the 9th. Carry on learning astrology. If you could combine those two things. What's turned up in the 10th?
In the 10th.
Anything?
No. Well, the north node.
Yeah.
But there's no planets, but it is governed by. It will be just in Gemini.
Because you've got moon in Gemini in the 9th, and the 10th house starts in the sign of Gemini.
Because it's equal house system.
Yeah.
From the talk last week, or the week before. Yeah, so it's governed by Gemini. but there's no planets in it.
That's fine. So the North Node then, so just spiritually this year, being in your 10th, you need to be thinking about, does my work that I do tick some boxes for my spirituality? You know, are they polar opposite, or can I incorporate something that into it? Bit tricky to get too spiritual with waitressing. I've done waitressing.
Yeah.
Is it waitressing you're doing? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, only since I've been in Germany. I used to work in the charity sector when I lived in the UK, so that was a lot more spiritual in that sense, I suppose. Caring for people and stuff is not just serving them drinks. so fulfills a greater kind of purpose, really.
Yeah. But the North Node being in the 10th, you might need to be thinking for this year, this solar year, what is it that I want to, how would I want to incorporate my life purpose a little bit more with my it's your core values as well. Yeah. But with it being Gemini, it's necessary for you to be able to talk about it too. Gemini has to chat. So important. God, I'm not a Gemini, but yeah. Okay, we've got just under 5 more minutes. Thank you, Abby. Anybody else like to just run their chart past me before we finish? Speak now.
If no one else is going.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
who's that? Yeah.
I was going to say it's Juliet. Can I run mine past you?
Yes, Juliet, darling. Yes, go.
So I've got
Ascendant in the solar return.
So my ascendant is Leo.
Yep. And the sun is in what house?
And the sun is in the 9th house in Aries.
Lovely. And the moon?
And the moon is in the 7th house in Pisces.
Oh my goodness. Right. Okay. So what's your natal ascendant?
Libra.
Okay. And your natal sun sign is Aries, is it?
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah. Okay. And your natal moon?
Scorpio.
Okay. Right. So hold on, let me just Scorpio, and your natal sun is Aries. Right, so sun's in the 9th. So start with the Leo ascendant. So you are going to need to show off this year, so you need to get more visible. So Leo ascendant is what I natally have. I mean, I'm all over the bloody place, you know, I'm not shy. Okay, so Leo, you need to be able to shine, you need to be there. So in this year, don't hide yourself away in the cupboard. Come out a little bit more. I mean, don't go bonkers, but you know, make yourself more visible and allow yourself to shine. Okay, so it's a sun ruled chart. Leo ascendant ruled by the sun. So we learned about the rulerships, and the sun now has plonked itself into the 9th house, further education, philosophy, long distance travel. So that's where you can be focusing. What do you do work wise?
I'm a lawyer.
Right, I think that's the 9th house. I'm sure. You might have to check. I haven't got a already booked for me to check, but I think that's right. So you're already qualified, or you're still training?
Yeah, I qualified last year.
Okay, and are you lawyering?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm working at the moment, so that does make sense. I'm having to take on quite a bit more at the moment. So
yeah, and you're going to need to make sure that you're visible with the Leo ascension. You really need to be out there, not there, sort of thing. Now the moon in the 7th in the sign of Pisces. So where's Neptune in relation to all of that? Because Neptune's been in Pisces all this year.
Let me have a look. Neptune in natal. Oh no,
not natal, in the solar.
Neptune in solar is. Sorry, I've lost it now. Pisces.
Yeah, and is that also in the 7th? Or is it in the 6th?
That's in the 8th.
Oops. Okay. Right. Okay. So moon in the sign of Pisces in the 7th in the solar return chart. Are you in a relationship?
I'm not, no.
Okay. Manifest one. Right. Do some magic and get Mr. Right to turn up, or Ms. Right, or whatever, whoever it is you want to link up with, but do some sort of magic or something. So the moon in the 7th, you will feel better in a partnership of some sort. So if you can't immediately adopt a boyfriend, then adopt a pet or something, or borrow a pet. But you need to have some some emotional thing there, yeah. With Neptune being the eighth is sex, birth, reincarnation, that type of stuff. Sort of, as I mentioned in the tarot deck, it's like the devil card. The eighth house, Neptune, dreams. Maybe again, like I was recommending for Leah, when you get Neptune things going on, just keep a dream journally type of thing, that type of stuff. Yeah. So the sun ruler. So where's Mercury in the solar return?
Mercury is in Aries.
Yep. Which house?
In the 9th house.
9th as well. Okay, so 9th really busy. And where has Venus and Mars ended up?
Venus is in Gemini in the 10th house.
Okay.
And
So
sorry.
Yeah, and Mars?
And Mars is in Aquarius in the 6th house.
Okay, right. So Venus in Gemini needed to be very, very friendly with people at work. Because Gemini's sort of a friendly, chatty sign, and Venus is all about love and stuff. Are you loving your work at the moment or not?
Not really.
What can you tweak to make it so that you are?
I think, like you said, I just need to embrace it more and like come out a bit more. I'm having to, take on more responsibility, do more presentations and things like that, which I don't enjoy particularly. But I think I just need to embrace it.
Yeah, because your normal ascendant is Libra, which is about relationships anyway. And then in your solar return chart, you've got the moon in the 7th. So you do need to be doing a bit of mystical magic and attracting your ideal bloke. So you need to email me and ask me about Tempesta, which is homeopathic remedy made out of a thunderstorm that attracts your soulmate to you. But the Mars in the sign of Aquarius in the 6th, so Mars where you get your energy from, the 6th is where you work. So that's the everyday work. 10th is the career and 6th is where we work. I've natally got Mars in Aquarius in my 6th. You've got that in your solar return. So you will feel energized doing the work that you have to do every day, whatever the work is. So say in your job, you have to be sat at a computer and moving a box or talking to somebody or sticking things in envelopes or answering the telephone or whatever. That's where you're going to get your energy from the actual physical work involved to what's going on in the career, which is in the 10th, and you've got Venus up there. Yeah. So you might need to get a bit, to be able to get that, because it depends how physically active you are normally anyway. And with an Aries, it's really important to be physically active. So Auntie Mary would recommend you need to be, I don't know, going jogging with some people that you work with or something, so that you can have something that's outside of work. I don't know if you even have ever done anything like that. Are you physically active most of the time anyway?
Yeah, I'm always on the go. Can't sit still.
Right. Okay. So channel that maybe through some people at work, sort of have a suggestion, maybe we just once a week run around the park or whatever, so that you've got some extra people to be doing it with them, which will keep you motivated. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Super. You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, Mary, can I ask just one quick thing? Sorry.
Go. Is that Becky?
Yes, it's Becky. Sorry.
I've
just noticed that my true node and my south node are conjunct in the 2nd house in Gemini. I thought they were always opposite.
They are.
How's that happen?
Well. So this is just in the solar return chart, or the solar return with the natal with the solar around the outside? This
is just the solar return chart.
You'll have to hold it up to the camera because that sounds physically impossible to have the.
I've got it on the screen because I was just because I hadn't and I made it the first time. I went back. I can screenshot it, can't I? And put it in the chat box.
You can screenshot and put it in the chat box, or you can screen share. I think we can all screen share. Which where it says more.
Okay, hang on. Yeah. It's coming. I just suddenly saw that and thought, what?
That does sound weird.
That's weird, isn't it? Unless I've got the wrong node I've got confused.
You might have done the true node and the north node. You might have ticked 2 boxes.
Oh,
Or
maybe
perhaps
that's what I've done.
you might have done true node and north node. Don't ask me
Right.
what the symbols look like. I can't remember, but you could have ticked 2 boxes instead of. It'll give
Oh,
you the
yeah,
true
no,
node
that is-
anyway. Yeah,
that's what I've done.
if you've gone back in and ticked another box, because it'll automatically, in every chart that Astro.com makes you, will include Chiron unless you tell it you don't want to, and it will also include your true node. Sorry, your north node, not your true node.
Right.
That's what you've got there, true node and north node.
And north node, that's what, yeah, because they're both the same way around. Okay, fine.
That makes sense.
Yes. Thank you. Sorry.
Don't apologise. So I'm going to go, but thank you very much, everybody, for coming this evening. I hope you've enjoyed it and you've learned a little bit about solar return charts. I will save this recording and put it onto my Facebook page and also onto my YouTube channel. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming this evening and for your questions, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to turn the recording off and then we'll say goodbye.